Can we give our youth praise team a hand for They've worked very, very hard to make this happen. What a great spirit-filled worship we're having because of you guys. Thank you. It's God's working through you. So thank you. We are talking since the beginning of the year about how we're to walk in Jesus' footsteps. And we are to follow the Master in all kinds of ways that Jesus has exemplified through his life, who he is. And we're to become like that over time as we're transformed. And today we're talking about the importance of being connected, of walking with traveling companions. We're on a journey together, and the importance of traveling together. So we'll be talking about that today. You know, we have a window back there, not a window, a painting, and it shows Jesus at the door, knocking, trying to get attention. He's knocking on the door. So Jesus proclaims to every one of us, "Here I am, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door," notice it's up to us whether we're going to open it, "I will come in and eat with them, and he with me. Not I will barge in and have my say. Not I will come in and guilt you to death or nag you or criticize you. Our Master said, I will come in and eat with you, and you with me." In other words, we are invited to share a table with Jesus Christ and have fellowship at the table with our Lord. Face to face. Almost partners, if you will, in this endeavor. We can have this dialogue at the table. We can abide, spend time with Jesus, and be able to discuss anything and be in his presence. Now these days, sitting down together for a meal is a challenge, if not a rare thing. You know, we have busy schedules. They often conflict with each other. Life is rushed, and so are many of our meals, if we have them at all. And many, many families don't have meals anymore, or never did, and never did sit down together. But thanks to all this increasing mobility and this rush, and the fact that we're spread out over distances, this generation, sitting together, having a meal together is harder and harder to come by. But when these words were written of Jesus, "I will come in and eat with you," meals were the high point of the day. In terms of relationships, in terms of your family, in terms of sharing memories, talking about God, talking about the scriptures, other than worship at the temple, meals were the high point of the day. It's no wonder Jesus said the following words when he and his friends reclined at the Passover dinner table. He said, "I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer." Now make no mistake, Jesus could have done his entire 3 years of ministry alone, without anyone next to him. He could have lived in the desert and lived a nomad's life, but Jesus was born by design into a family. He was born in relationship. He was born as one of us. He was a son. He was a brother. He was a friend. Jesus left the desert and he went straight to the people. And he chose 12 people, 12 disciples, 12 traveling companions to do community with as he went through life. To live, eat, sleep, and talk and pray in community. He went out of his way so that everyone could become part of this community. Everyone was invited to this community of love and of hope. In fact, Jesus is part of a mysterious community called the Trinity. Father, Son, and Spirit. One God, but in 3 forms. And that was established from the very beginning. Even before the beginning, God was who God is. And God is community. Father, Son, and Spirit. As a matter of fact, when we were created, God said, let us make man in our own image. There was a community. And we were created for community, since God pronounced it's not good for man to be alone. We are meant to be in community. God wants to form a relationship with you, and He wants you to form close relationships with others. You're meant to live in that kind of life. Our relationships are vital. They're the most important thing about us. More important than your job, more important than your home, your car, your accomplishments, your hobbies, more important than your rank. Your life is defined by your relationships, how you connect up with and how you treat others. That's what matters. From the top down, we learn how to do relationships from growing into our relationship with God. Jesus says, I stand at the door and knock. And when we let Him in, that begins the transformation of all relationships that within our reach. The problem is, generally, we are people who fiercely seek independence and autonomy. And we seek our own plans. At every turn, this is what keeps us from getting closer to God and other people. This stubborn streak of wanting what we want and our independence. And in fact, if you're not careful, you can come to see God and others as obstacles, as threats. And you can resent their invitation for relationship. You can become so task-oriented or goal-focused, you miss the forest for the trees. And you forget that you are not meant to do life on your own. And in fact, it's relationships along the way that matter, not your circumstances or your goals. Life is about the journey. Whatever cards you get dealt, and they change all the time, what counts is the journey and how you do the journey. So we need good traveling companions. We need to be good traveling companions. We need to be very careful who we travel with. Now we need to reach out to everyone, but we need to be very careful who we travel with. Who are your companions? Last week, Pastor Joe talked about service to others and the importance of doing helpful things for others. But do you know what the most important thing you have to give other people? It's yourself. It's who you are, who God has made you to be. Your gifts, personality, the way you're wired up. You can reach people that other people can't reach because you have a special set, a toolbox that you carry with you called you, who God made you. That's the greatest gift that you have to share. It's by giving it to others. Share yourself fully. Get to know others. Listen to other people. Give them time. Give them your skills, your knowledge. Give them your perspective. Give them your laughter. Give them your personality. Give them yourself. Allow some other folks to give themselves to you. Listen to them. Seek out wise counsel. Share your burdens. Enjoy the company of others. That's what we're meant for. You know, there are people who are so uptight, they can't enjoy themselves when they're with other people. They're trapped by their anxieties or fears or trying to present something to others. And they're trapped by self. And they're not able to enjoy the company of others. Yeah, they're with others, but it's like they're preoccupied up there. Somewhere they're not there. They're gone. Half of them's gone. Enjoy the company of others. Enjoy being in their company. Learn to give and take, where you aren't always the one in charge. Where you learn to let your guard down a little bit. Because relationships, you know, being known and knowing others can be very, very scary. It's a scary thing. You know? Case in point, illustration here. You know, what's the number one fear in people? It's not snakes. It's not spooky skeletons. Public speaking. Public speaking is listed as the #1 fear. And part of that is we don't really like putting ourselves out there to be evaluated and judged. We don't like to risk failure and rejection. And so getting up and speaking. But there's one more intimidating level than public speaking. I'm going to demonstrate this now. Right now, I have a nice retaining wall down there. I've got a giant table, it's pretty strong and wide and deep. I've got this nice thick plexiglass lectern, you know, that I'm behind. I don't like the fact that it's see-through, but it's some protection. Okay? Right? And I've got all these things here I can kind of cling to, you know, and hide myself. Right? All right, now watch this. Right? I seldom do this, but today I'm going to be a little bit more brave. I'm actually coming to the people. Okay? Okay? All right, there, I've done it. Okay. I have to tell you, my pulse is probably higher right now. I know I'm feeling a little more nervous about what might come out of my mouth. So are we. John, you're proving the point as well. Okay, so, all right. I have 3 things I want to demonstrate that we have to choose which way we're going to navigate in life. Are we going to navigate towards people and relationships and being known and knowing other people? Or are we going to navigate towards protecting ourselves from people, hiding ourselves, keeping ourselves covered, distant, not sharing much, not really getting to know other people? There's all kinds of ways to do that besides taking off. There's tons of ways. We have to make a choice which way we're going to go. All right? Because if you miss out on relationships, you're missing out on life. And we're not meant to. We're not meant to do that. So I have 3 visual aids here, and some of these used are like, what the heck? All right, I'm going to start with this. Right? This is it's a mirror, okay? The mirror represents something that we all need, but we don't like. All right? The mirror is correct information so that we might make corrections. All right? Because, and I think sometimes we forget this, others see us better than we do sometimes. Sometimes we think we're coming across this way, but if we were honest, something's driving us to hide stuff, or something's driving us to not be ourselves, or to put on a front. And what other people see, I'm trying not to blind anybody, but what other people see is a more true image. Okay? So relationships represent accountability, and we don't want accountability. Man, do we need that? There's a mirror next to Pat's office, and I hate it. I hate that mirror. I have to walk past it every time I go to the copier or get supplies or whatever. But I always look into it. I can't help it. You know how it is. And I want to make sure there's nothing hanging out of my face or, whatever. And I think it's a funhouse mirror. I really do, because it makes me look hideous. Okay? And I've been around a long time, and every time I look at it, it gets worse. So, and I suddenly realize there's no trimmer in the world that can keep up with it. All right? So anyway, I walk past the mirror, and I think, I don't want to look at that. But you know what? There have been times, if I had not looked into that mirror, Pat, especially if she'd have been eating, would have gotten deeply offended and grossed out. Okay? I need to look into the mirror. I don't want to, but sometimes I need a mirror, I have all kinds of days. I've had shirts on backwards, pants tucked into my socks, it's me, okay? I've learned, with the help of my wife and others, I've learned to trust the mirror. Right? And relationships are like a mirror. They help us stay within the boundaries of healthy truth. Okay? So that what we know and what we're doing and what we want all come together. And we're not straying off like a curveball. All right, so one good benefit of relationships: truth, accountability, encouragement, support, proper criticism when needed, correction, right? All right, the second one. These should be 3 ropes, okay? And this is actually demonstrated, talked about in the Bible. And I'm not going to do this, but if I took 2 of these strands and I braided them together, you would have twice as much what? More than twice. Strength. Strength. Even more than two individual strands, you have more strength from 2 being braided together. All right, now there's a verse in Ecclesiastes that says, and I love how, listen to the numbers as they keep on iron. It says, 1 can be easily overpowered, but 2 can resist the attacker and defend themselves. And then it says a sentence which is really weird, because why did they throw this in? It says, a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. Suddenly we're 3. How I interpret that is, whenever you bond yourself with a friend, somebody you can trust, fellow Christian, your spouse, you make a strong bond. But guess what? If you're bonded with Jesus, with God, then that is the most powerful bond there can be. A cord of 3 is not easily broken. Now, if you have, let's use the principle of marriage. If you have a good bond, but you don't have Jesus, you don't have God, then that's not near the strength, and you can't near resist the temptations and the pressures and the strain of life as you can with God weaved into your relationship. All right, so this represents strength. Relationships, building good bonds, bringing strength that you would never have by yourself. All right, then the following thing. Celia's going to cringe because this is in my closet and it's been there for years. This I call the ye old suitcase of wires. Okay? All right? Don't bring it home. Is it okay if I come home? Thank you. Okay, so what is this? What is this? I don't know, okay? I really don't. I mean, I can't tell you. There's a million wires in here. They've got plugs. There's all kinds of covers. And some are, 3 feet. Some are probably 100 feet. I have no idea or memory what these do. And I just keep adding to them. I need a bigger suitcase. Okay? All right. What's the point of this? Well, I finally have found a use for this, and that is a sermon illustration. It's been worth it. Okay. You and I are all wired up for relationships. Your purpose is to stretch out and connect with other people. If you don't do that, you are missing out on your purpose for living. There's no getting around this. You cannot go through life and stay unconnected and have life. And that is not what our Savior did. He stretched out on the cross to connect up with you. We are meant to be connected to each other and develop strong connections. Because when you connect these wires somehow, there's power that flows from person to person. And the power that's generated is greater than what you could ever do by yourself. This is the whole purpose of church. This is why Jesus instituted the church. And he said the gates of hell cannot prevail against its power. And if you notice, hell is on the defensive. We're rushing their gates. They're not coming after us. All right? We are meant to be connected. And so the mirror represents truth and accountability. The strands of rope represent strength that we have in relationships with others. And then this represents that we are filling our purpose. We are fulfilling our purpose. And we are to be connected. That's our purpose in life. Okay? So those are the 3 visual aids. And if anybody wants a bag of wires, just do me a favor and wait till 12 o'clock. Okay, so relationships, are the most difficult things, most challenging things, the most heartbreaking things. that you're ever going to face. When we lose a loved one, when there's a divorce, when there's a falling out, it is the most painful thing in all the world. And you know, how do we learn about relationships? Through families, right? That's how we kind of learn how to relate to others. But the problem is that oftentimes families have demonstrated lousy ways of relating to others. Terrible ways, hurtful ways, passive-aggressive ways, where there's always tit for tat, and there's always the slam, and there's always the only if you do this, and there's always the, you know what, there's something about you, it's not right, you need to change that, you know? And by the way, that's not right either. We learn this from our families. But we can be redeemed. We can be changed. We don't have to live that way. And a lot of people just turn away from relationships because it's less painful. Relationships are to be healing. And we can find traveling companions and find the love of God, and the Holy Spirit can change us on the inside so that we're not harming anyone, we're helping. We're there for them, we're dependable. We're able to share. We're freed up from self-consciousness. How am I doing? How am I doing? How am I doing? God can change all that if we let Him. Because that's what we're meant for. You know, Jesus called Lazarus down from the tree. He approached a city that wanted his death. He sat down at the table and shared his last meal with someone that was plotting to kill him, turn him in. But mainly, He chose to die so that we might be reconciled and be connected up. And He wants us to live in such a manner. We are to be the forgivers. We are to be the people who handle hurt and rejection. And we stand because we're living to please an audience of one, not other people. We're pleasing an audience of one. And that's how we stand back up. That's how we handle being around others, where it's not so roses and spice. We're able to do it and still come back and be healing for other people. We can do it. You know, Jesus allowed us to be brought into a relationship where we actually can call God Abba, which means daddy. You know, full access. No barriers, no obstacles, no rejection, no criticism, unless it's helpful. You know, we're as a church, we're hoping to move in the direction of giving you opportunities to better connect with other people. Fellowship events are coming, family events are coming. We're going to offer in the future more small groups in the homes, in church, where you can connect up with other people, get to know others, not just Bible studies. We're hoping to do all of that more and more because we need to be traveling companions. We need to know each other, and we need to be there for each other more than we are. And so all this is our way of walking in the footsteps of Christ as a church, as individuals. Jesus promised that if we open the door to Him, to other people, with boundaries, but if we open the door, we can live and move and have our being together, which is a lot more desirable than living undone. It's a lot more interesting too. It's pretty rewarding. It's worth it. But we have to be the ones that open the door. We have to let the fresh air in. Jesus called us friend, companion, and we are called to live like Jesus in community. Let us seek out traveling companions. Amen. I invite all of you to pray at this point, to ask God to be closer, to move closer to Him, and ask Him to come and sit down with you at the table. The table here is offered for everyone. You're welcome to come down and receive the elements. Raise your hand if you need help with that. The ushers will bring it to you. Let's be in prayer this time.